In tonight's video, party people, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the Bosch GO smart screwdriver, and what I do is I review it and just have a little look, tool through it. Some of the key features, what I like about it and what I think it's used for is for like Jurassic Sparks and anyone with wrist injuries or anything like that, that could really complement you, could really help you. Because what I find, when I come to buy this, and what I thought was that a lot of people who were reviewing it was buying this for 60 quid and expecting a drill like this, you know what I mean? But that doesn't happen, you know. It's a professional drill in its own. So what I'll do is we'll give you a quick tour. So roll the intro. Oi, oi. Good evening, fellow groove riders. Will from Will's Electrical Services, also known as the Michael Essien of the electrical world. Just doing bits. In tonight's episode, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at my Bosch GO smart screwdrivers. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you a quick rundown of it, because I have watched quite a few reviews online of it, and it's quite funny really, because a lot of people who review it see it as a bit of a gimmick sort of thing, which you probably could say it is. But one of the telltale signs of it being actually a proper tool is that it's in the Bosch blue, which means it's professional. Because I don't know if you're aware, but one of the best things, and I'll probably say, and I take my hat off to Bosch, but they're the only people that do it, is that they have different colour tools for their DIY range to their professional range. Like say Milwaukee, for instance, I call all my drills and all my tools are the fuel range, but you can also get like the brushless range from Toolstation and all that. And like Ollie, one of my apprentices, he made the mistake of buying the brushless 18-volt combi drill, and it is half the power of the fuel version, you know. And I think that's a bit of a bad sport really, because I don't really like that, because I know DeWalt do it, I know Makita do it, I know everyone's got all the different like ranges and all that. It's fair enough, I suppose, but it should have a clear indication of, you know, where you are with it. But I also discussed that on a podcast I was on a couple of weeks ago. I put a link above to it when I was with Fat Sam and Nick Bundy. We was actually discussing this as well. That's what made me probably do this review. And I'm really am a big fan of this, and I just feel as if when people review it, they're not really reviewing it for what it is, and a smart screwdriver, because basically it's to replace that. It's not to replace like a drill driver or anything like that, because what I see a lot of people, and I think everyone I've seen review this, all get 1.5/8, which are like the maximum this can screw in is 5mm screws, and little did I know that 1.5/8 are actually 4mm. So you know, these can actually screw these in, but you know, let's have it right. 5 Newton meters, it's always going to do that, but it's, you know, that's quite a lot of effort. You know, like say for instance, like everyone was saying that they could do 50 of those. You know, if you get this screwdriver and screw 50 in there, that's a lot of effort, isn't it? You know what I mean? So I thought that was actually quite impressive. But what I use this for anyway is I use it for a lot of second fix, not so much installing, because I don't like second fix. I'm the first fix champion, you know what I mean? And what I mean by second fix is when we strip the cables and we put all the accessories on, like the power and light accessories like sockets and switches like that. But where it does come into its own, and which this is actually lives in my testing tool bag, is that we use it for our inspections. So when we go around places, one of our part of our service is that we take all the fronts and sockets, you know, and have a look, because we've got to have a look at cabling, see if there's any thermal damages or anything like that. And this comes to a world of its own. But there's a few things, some of the pros and cons about this one, which I think it could be a feature, it couldn't be. Like, it hasn't got the LED light on the fronts, which, you know, which now is quite privileged really, isn't it? Because I remember before drills didn't have them, and now they all have them. But I think where this has got a 3.6 volt battery and 1.5 amp hours, which is actually built in, which is a bit of a bind, because obviously you can't take it out to charge, you actually have to stop using the tool. But I don't see that as a problem. We don't use it like continuously, like we use it for like 20 minutes a day sort of thing. So, you know, for that it's absolutely perfect. And as I say, the revs per minute is 360, where compared to one of those drills, like even that 12-volt one, is 1700. So, you know, it's unfair. It's not apples for apples, you know what I mean? It's because it's got the 1/4 inch hex head on it. I think people think just because you can buy like these drill bits, like the 32 to 12, you know, like it's going to work, and it's never going to work, because even that 12 M12 drill, that'll probably only do up to 20 mil wood bit into wood. You know, it's a lot of power, a lot of torque, but I think this is absolutely smashing. Some of the good things, I'll show you some of the features what it has got on there, which I really like, is that it's got dual active. So basically it's got a standby button on there which you can press, and that activates it. Then it's got a directional slider on the bottom, so if you push it forward it's right for righty tight, if you push it down it's lefty loosey. And also, which is a nice feature as well, is because it's a 3-position switch, if you leave it in the middle and you put it in the case, it can't turn itself on. Because it's dual active, you can literally, all you have to do is turn it round and just push it down, and then it will start unscrewing. One of the funny things is which I mentioned to Nick, is before you get used to it on the podcast, is when you push it down, if you don't notice, it can actually just spin in your hands, you know, which is quite funny. You feel a bit of a wally when you do that, but it takes all of about 1 minute to get used to, you know what I mean? It's, as I say, it's not very fast. But on the lower setting, because it's got 5 mechanical clutches on it, you know, you just got to get used to it, because it says it starts at 0.5 newton meters up to 5 newton meters. But if I show you an image that I've got from a Hager consumer unit, like most of them are nowhere near like 5 newton meters. That's why I think it's okay. I did actually give it to one of my apprentices to do a video, because he borrowed it for the day to do a consumer unit.
Reece here from Wales Electrical Services. Ollie on the board. Right. Just a little review of this Bosch electric screwdriver thing.
It's quite good. It's nice and handheld and light. It's good to get into places. A downside to it would be that where it's quite long, say if you're getting in the back of a box or something and there's no light, you can't really see where you're aiming. But that's not too bad. But yeah, like I said, all it is really for is for unscrewing and screwing up things. Like on this board.
Been using it for the board, don't we?
Yeah.
Just doing bits, looking at that.
Using the board, but we obviously start tightening it up with this until we get to the part where it needs to be torque tightened, and that's where we use the Armeg set.
Sweet.
Yeah.
It's good. Sound.
Yeah, so it's an interesting point what Ollie was saying, but what I would suggest that you probably could do to get around that is just use the 6-inch bit holder. That's one way I'd get around them tight edges. Obviously the LEDs, you can't do that, but obviously in his video it was in a well lit room anyway, but all the points are valid. And before we get too far into it, if you could do us a massive favour, if you could show your support for the channel, if you could like, subscribe and flick my bean, it helps the channel grow. Plus you get to see more contents like this. Before, one of the other things is I didn't mention earlier on in the video, is that this particular set, I got this from Amazon. I have got a link below to my Amazon store, so feel free, but obviously scale around so you get the cheapest price. But with this particular set, this was like, I think it was £5 more than the others. But what you do get is you get the actual drill itself. You get this little T-Box Mini that comes with a 25-piece Bosch set, which is actually pretty good, really. I thought it was well worth the £5. And obviously the micro USB charger lead. I thought it was pretty good. A quick review of it. I think it's absolutely smashing for unscrewing stuff, you know, like, but maybe even for DIY. Like if you're putting furniture together at home or anything like that, like chairs and all stuff like that, or even shelving. And I tell you what, I think it would be really good for is rack building and stuff like that. Obviously panel building and stuff like that. But anywhere where you don't have to tighten in too much. But yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, lightweight. Massive fan of it. I did have the older version years ago, the old pistol version, the little with the detachable batteries with the old pew pew pistol type. Anyway, I think that brings us an end to this episode. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, if you're going to be anything this week, then be electric. Up the old blues, you know.